He arrived at the high school gym early, as usual, carrying a worn-out basketball under his arm. The air was cold outside, and the first rays of sunlight were just beginning to spill over the empty streets. He liked this quiet time before the day began, when the gym smelled faintly of sweat and polish. The echo of a bouncing ball seemed louder than anything else. He could hear the faint squeak of shoes on the court as he warmed up alone, spinning the ball with a rhythm he had practiced countless times. He had always been the kind of player who worked harder than anyone else. While others relied on natural talent, he relied on repetition, on the hours he spent practicing when no one was watching. He knew the coach noticed the flashy players, the ones with speed or size that caught the eye immediately. But he also knew that dedication counted for something, even if it didn't always show. Still, each day that the coach looked past him, he felt a little sting in his chest. It wasn't bitterness. It was motivation. He was determined to get better. The gym slowly filled with other students arriving for tryouts. Some of them were confident, cracking jokes and laughing loudly. Others were nervous, shifting from one foot to the other, clutching their basketballs tightly. He noticed a few of the bigger boys who had the kind of presence that made people look at them automatically. They didn't practice as much as he did, but their size and speed made them stand out. He shook his head slightly and continued his warm-ups, keeping his focus on his own game. When the coach arrived, he walked into the gym with a clipboard in hand, his expression serious and unreadable. He called the players together and began the tryout drills. The first was a dribbling test, and the boys lined up, bouncing their balls in perfect rhythm. He moved through the cones carefully, keeping his head up and scanning the court, making every move count. Some of the others rushed, missing cones or fumbling the ball. He finished cleanly and moved to the next drill, his heart steady but aware of the watchful eyes of the coach. After the drills, the coach called each player forward. Some were praised for their natural ability, others for effort. But when he was called, the coach's tone was neutral. He nodded slightly, saying nothing remarkable, and moved on to the next boy. That moment stung more than any mistake he could have made on the court. The coach wasn't cruel, but he was honest, and honesty sometimes felt like rejection. He finished the tryouts, but he knew the final roster would likely not include him. Still, he didn't let disappointment show. He stayed after everyone else left, practicing shots from every angle, moving across the court until his legs burned and his fingers ached. The ball never complained. It only bounced back, and that rhythm was comforting. As the days passed, he developed a routine. School during the day, basketball practice after, and late-night sessions alone in the gym whenever he could. He ignored the whispers of some students who thought he was wasting his time. He focused on the sound of the ball hitting the floor, on the swish of the net, on the small victories like improving a dribble or perfecting a free throw. He was patient, knowing that talent alone wasn't enough. Dedication made the difference. His friends noticed his dedication and sometimes tried to join him. But most didn't last long. They didn't understand why he was willing to sacrifice evenings and weekends, just to improve a skill that might never be recognized. He didn't explain much. Words were less important than action. His focus was on what he could control, and he knew that every extra shot, every moment spent practicing, was an investment in himself. Meanwhile, the coach continued to favor the bigger, faster players. Practices were intense, and the team drills left him on the outside looking in. Yet he observed closely, learning from every pass, every defensive move, every strategy explained. Even if the coach didn't put him on the team, he absorbed knowledge, and that knowledge would become an edge. He noticed how the coach reacted to different situations, how he adjusted his plans, and how he expected each player to anticipate the opponent's moves. There was a lot to learn from being on the outside, and he quietly took it all in. One afternoon, after a long practice session, he sat on the bleachers, sweating and exhausted. Watching a few of the players run drills, he noticed a young boy struggling to keep up, missing passes and losing the ball. Without hesitation, he went over and gave gentle advice, showing a better way to hold the ball, how to position his feet, how to move without panicking. The boy listened, and soon his movements improved. The coach noticed and gave a nod of approval, though he didn't realize the quiet student on the bleachers was the one who had helped. It didn't matter. The satisfaction of helping someone else learn, of seeing improvement, was enough. As the season approached, tension filled the gym. The team was expected to perform well, and the coach's standards were high. Every practice was critical, and the player continued his regimen. He knew that opportunities were rare, that he might not get a chance until something unexpected happened. But he also knew that preparation was key. He couldn't control when the chance would come, but he could control whether he was ready. His family supported him quietly. They didn't push, but they encouraged his efforts. His mother would often bring him a water bottle or a snack during late-night practices. His father would sometimes stay to watch him practice, offering small words of encouragement. They understood the importance of perseverance, of doing your best even when recognition isn't immediate. Their quiet support gave him strength when self-doubt crept in, and he often thought about their sacrifices and encouragement as he practiced. The school's first big game was approaching, and the team was in full preparation mode. The bigger, more noticeable players were being groomed to lead, while he continued his silent work in the background. No one noticed how fast he could read a play, how precise his shots were under pressure, or how calm he remained in tense situations. These were skills that didn't always show in a crowded gym, but he trusted that they would matter when it counted. Every evening, he stayed late, sometimes until the janitor gently reminded him the gym was closing. He practiced free throws, three-point shots, defensive maneuvers, and passing drills. Each session ended with a sense of accomplishment, quiet reassurance that he was improving, that every drop of sweat counted. The echoes of the ball on the hardwood floor became a companion, a rhythm that matched his heartbeat and gave him purpose. He also watched videos of professional games whenever he could, studying the movements of players who seemed untouchable, analyzing their decision-making, and imagining himself in their place. He learned patience, timing, and the importance of reading not just the ball, but the entire court. This study became a secret weapon, something that no one else in the school might notice, that he knew would pay off one day. His dedication didn't go entirely unnoticed. A few classmates began to admire him, noticing that he never complained, never showed anger, and continued to improve steadily. They would occasionally offer a nod or a word of encouragement, small gestures that meant a lot. He appreciated it, but he didn't rely on it. His focus was inward, on his own growth. As the night before the first game arrived, he lay in bed thinking about all the hours he had spent practicing. All the quiet moments in the gym, all the sweat and effort. He felt ready, even if the coach hadn't recognized him yet. He didn't know if he would play, if his chance would come, but he knew that he had done everything possible to prepare. The uncertainty was uncomfortable, but he welcomed it. Knowing that opportunity favored the prepared, the story of his early mornings, late nights, and quiet determination set the stage for what was about to happen. While the coach still doubted him, the seeds of talent and perseverance had already been planted. And though no one knew it yet, the first game would bring a chance for everything to change. The young athlete's journey had only begun, and the first part of his story was a testament to patience, hard work, and the quiet belief that preparation could one day overcome doubt. The morning of the first big game arrived with a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. The young athlete got to the gym early, just as he always did. But this time, the place was buzzing with tension. Teammates were joking, trying to hide their nerves. And the coach was moving quickly, checking lineups and reviewing strategies. He watched silently, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and calm. Even though he didn't know if he would play, he knew he was ready if the moment came. During warm-ups, the coach noticed the empty spots caused by a few last-minute absences. He frowned slightly, realizing he might need more players than he had planned. The young athlete continued his routine, bouncing the ball, shooting from different positions, and practicing passes. The coach walked past him, glanced at the ball, and moved on without a word. He didn't look like he was ready to give him a real chance yet, but the player didn't let it affect him. The gym slowly filled with fans. Parents, students, and teachers arrived, filling the stands with excited chatter and the smell of popcorn and snacks. The energy was different from practice. The pressure was heavier, and the young athlete could feel it in his chest. He tried to focus on the rhythm of his dribbling and the sound of the net when a shot went in. He reminded himself that no one could take away the hours he had practiced, the effort he had put in, and the skills he had developed. Those things were his, and he trusted them. The coach called the team together for the final pep talk. He was firm and direct, reminding everyone of their positions, the plays, and the importance of focus. The players listened carefully, some nodding and bouncing on their toes, eager to get on the court. The young athlete stood quietly at the edge, absorbing every word, knowing he might not play at all. Didn't feel disappointed. Instead, he felt ready, waiting for the moment that might come. The game started, and the team quickly fell behind. The opposing team was fast and aggressive, and mistakes in passing and defense allowed them to score repeatedly. The coach's frustration grew, and the team began to feel the tension. Some players became flustered, missing simple shots and struggling to keep up. The young athlete watched intently, noticing how the game unfolded, seeing the gaps and mistakes that could be turned into opportunities. His heart raced, hoping for a chance to contribute. Halfway through the first quarter, the coach made a decision. He called the young athlete to the side, giving him a nod. "Get ready," he said briefly, and the player understood. He stepped onto the court, feeling the eyes of the crowd on him. The energy was different from practice. The fans cheered, and he felt both pressure and encouragement at the same time. His mind focused on what he knew best, the basics: dribble, pass, move, anticipate. The first moments were tense. He moved cautiously, careful not to make mistakes. The opposing players were quick, and he had to adjust his timing and positioning. He passed the ball carefully, followed his coach's strategies, and slowly began to find a rhythm. The crowd noticed him, and small cheers began as he moved with purpose. His confidence grew with each play, and he began to see how his hours of practice were finally paying off. By the second quarter, he was fully engaged. He made precise passes, moved into open spaces, and even managed to steal the ball a few times. The team started to catch up, and the coach began to watch more closely, his expression unreadable but alert. The crowd started murmuring, noticing the unexpected energy and skill this new player brought to the game. Every shot he made, every move he executed, seemed to inspire his teammates, who were finally beginning to play with more confidence and coordination. During a timeout, the coach gave brief instructions, emphasizing teamwork and strategy. He looked at the young athlete differently now, seeing that he could handle pressure, make smart decisions, and support the team. The player nodded silently, understanding that actions spoke louder than words. He didn't need praise to feel accomplishment. The crowd continued to watch, their excitement growing as the team regained momentum. Back on the court, the game intensified. The young athlete ran tirelessly, passing and moving, supporting his teammates, and keeping his focus sharp. One of the bigger players struggled with an injury, and he instinctively took more responsibility, stepping into the gap and keeping the team in the play. The coach watched carefully, his earlier skepticism starting to fade. He saw determination, skill, and quick thinking in a player he had once doubted. The crowd's attention shifted more and more toward him. Parents whispered about how he seemed calm under pressure, how every move was calculated yet fluid. Students started cheering louder whenever he touched the ball, their voices blending into a chorus of support. It was the first time many had realized the depth of his skill and dedication. Even opponents began to take notice, trying to block or anticipate his moves, which only made him push harder. The game continued with back-and-forth scoring, and the young athlete's role grew. He made crucial passes that set up teammates for easy baskets, and his defensive work forced turnovers that the team converted into points. Each play was met with increasing excitement from the crowd. The coach, standing on the sidelines, finally allowed himself a small nod of approval. He had seen enough to recognize talent, dedication, and the ability to rise to the occasion. As the final quarter approached, the score was tight. The team needed every advantage they could get, and the young athlete had become central to their effort. He moved with precision, anticipating the opponent's moves and adjusting his strategy quickly. His heart pounded, but he felt a calm determination guiding him. Every shot, every pass, every defensive block mattered. He could feel the energy, of the crowd, not as pressure, but as encouragement, fueling his focus. In a critical moment, he intercepted a pass and sprinted down the court, making a perfect pass to a teammate who scored. The crowd erupted with cheers, recognizing the pivotal role he had played. The coach finally called a short timeout, placing a hand on his shoulder with a look that acknowledged both surprise and respect. The young athlete felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that his preparation and dedication were finally paying off. As the game reached its final minutes, the team was close to tying the score. The young athlete remained focused, moving strategically, passing, and supporting his teammates. Every move counted, and he didn't let fear or doubt interfere. The crowd's energy was electric, urging the players on. His teammates began to trust him, passing the ball to him with confidence, knowing that he could make the right decision. The story of this game, though only halfway through, had already begun to change perceptions. The young athlete, once overlooked and underestimated, was proving his value not just to the coach, but to everyone watching. His skill, focus, and quiet determination were beginning to stand out, showing that hard work and perseverance could create moments that mattered. The stage was set for the final moments, where his true potential would shine and the crowd would become an unforgettable part of his journey. As the game continued, the energy in the gym grew even more intense. The opposing team was aggressive and skilled, but the young athlete had settled into the rhythm of the game. Every move he made was precise, calculated, and deliberate. His teammates, inspired by his quiet confidence, began to perform better, following his lead without realizing it. The coach, who had been skeptical at the start, watched with a growing sense of surprise and admiration. The crowd had begun to notice something special. Parents whispered to one another. Students leaned forward in their seats, and teachers watched with keen interest. The chants for the team grew louder, but many were specifically cheering for the player who had appeared out of nowhere to change the game. His focus never wavered, but he could feel the warmth of support radiating from the stands. It was not just applause, it was belief. He believed he could make a difference, and that belief fueled him. During a timeout, the coach gathered the team and gave instructions, but his eyes kept darting toward the young athlete. There was a tension in his voice, a mix of caution and recognition. He couldn't deny the impact the player had made, but he was still wary. The young athlete nodded silently, understanding that his actions would speak louder than any words. He had earned this moment, and he knew that staying calm and focused was the key. Back on the court, the game became more intense. The young athlete anticipated the opponent's moves, moving quickly to intercept passes, supporting his teammates, and creating opportunities for others to score. Each successful play built confidence not only in him but in the entire team. The crowd roared louder with every pass and shot, and the gym seemed to pulse with energy. It was as if the fans had become part of the game itself, urging the young athlete and his teammates to push beyond their limits. The opposing team, noticing the change in momentum, began to focus their defense on him. They tried to block his shots, double-team him, and cut off passing lanes. But he remained composed, reading the defense, adjusting his movements, finding the best options for himself and his teammates. His calm under pressure amazed everyone watching, and the fans began chanting his name more fervently, demanding to see him take control of the game. At one point, he was forced to make a split-second decision. The teammate was open, but the opponent was closing in fast. Without hesitation, he passed the ball with perfect timing, setting up an easy basket. The crowd erupted in cheers, clapping and shouting, fully acknowledging his contribution. The coach's eyes widened slightly, a silent admission that the player's skill was undeniable. The team's morale soared, and even the players who had been doubtful before began to trust him completely. The game continued with fast-paced action. The young athlete ran tirelessly, covering the court, making strategic passes, and taking shots when necessary. His focus never wavered, even as the opposing team intensified their efforts. Every move he made was precise, and the crowd could see the result of countless hours of practice. They saw not just talent, but dedication, determination, and a refusal to give up. During a crucial moment, the team was down by several points with only a few minutes left on the clock. The tension was palpable. Parents held their breath, Students shouted encouragement, and the coach called a quick huddle. He looked at the young athlete and for the first time gave a nod that spoke volumes. This was his moment. He would lead the team in these final minutes. The crowd fully supported it. The young athlete moved onto the court with renewed energy. He passed, dribbled, and positioned himself strategically. Each decision was deliberate, each movement calculated. The crowd's chants grew louder, almost as if they were guiding his actions. Every time he touched the ball, the excitement surged, and the other players began to rally around him. The opposing team struggled to adjust, as his ability to read the court and anticipate plays gave his team an advantage. As the final seconds approached, the team managed to tie the score. The gym was filled with a mixture of tension and excitement. The crowd's energy was almost tangible, a collective heartbeat of anticipation. The young athlete had become the center of attention, the player who had turned the game around. He didn't let it overwhelm him. Instead, he focused on the fundamentals: dribble, move, pass, shoot, each action clear in his mind. With only a few seconds left, the ball came to him. The opposing team tried to block him, but he moved swiftly, pivoting and creating space. He shot, and the ball arced perfectly through the air, hitting the net as the buzzer sounded. The gym exploded with cheers. Students jumped from their seats, parents clapped and shouted, and even the coach allowed himself a small smile. The young athlete's dedication, persistence, and skill had led to a victory that no one had expected. After the game, the crowd surrounded him, praising his performance. People he had never met shook his hand, complimented his skill, and told him how inspired they were by his determination. The coach approached him, initially silent, then offered a firm handshake and a few words of respect. The player smiled quietly, feeling the satisfaction of knowing that his hard work had paid off. He didn't need the praise to feel accomplished, but it was a confirmation that he had made an impact. The story of this game spread quickly through the school and community. People talked about how the young athlete, once overlooked and underestimated, had risen to the occasion. His dedication and perseverance had not only helped the team win, but it also inspired others to keep working hard, no matter the obstacles. The crowd's support had played a role, showing that encouragement and belief could amplify talent and effort. The young athlete had learned that sometimes success comes not just from individual effort, but from the support and faith of others. That night, as he walked home, he replayed every moment of the game in his mind. He remembered the feeling of the ball in his hands, the sound of the net, the roar of the crowd, and the look of surprise on the coach's face. It was a night of triumph, not just for the win, but for the acknowledgement of hard work and perseverance. The journey was far from over, but this experience had taught him the power of dedication, preparation, and belief. The crowd had spoken, the coach had noticed, and he had proven that consistent effort and quiet determination could overcome doubt and create unforgettable moments. The final quarter began with an intensity that made every heartbeat feel louder. The team was neck and neck with the opponent, and every pass, every shot, every movement mattered. The young athlete felt the pressure, but he also felt a strange calm. All the hours he had spent practicing, all the quiet evenings in the gym, had prepared him for this very moment. The coach, usually so measured and reserved, could not hide the tension in his posture. He had seen enough to know that this young player was capable of something extraordinary. As the clock ticked down, the young athlete took his position. He watched the opposing team closely, noting their movements, anticipating their strategy, and planning his next actions. Every step was deliberate, every decision calculated. The crowd's energy seemed to blend with his own focus, creating a rhythm that he could follow. They were no longer just spectators. They were part of the moment, cheering not only for the team but for him. The one who had risen from being overlooked to leading the charge. The opposing team tried to adjust, focusing their defense entirely on him. They double-teamed him, blocked his passes, and tried to anticipate his every move. But he stayed calm, using their expectations against them. He moved quickly, passing at the perfect moment, finding openings where none seemed to exist, and supporting his teammates at every opportunity. Each play seemed to energize the crowd even more, their cheers growing louder. almost as if they could feel the game through him. During a critical play, he intercepted a pass and ran down the court, dribbling with speed and precision. One defender tried to stop him, but he maneuvered around with skill born from countless hours of practice. As he reached the three-point line, he spotted a teammate in the corner completely open. Without hesitation, he passed. The teammate scored, and the crowd erupted. That single act had shifted momentum, and the energy in the gym became almost tangible. A mix of excitement, disbelief, and admiration. The coach's eyes widened as he watched. He had doubted this young player before, overlooked his quiet determination. And now he realized just how much he had underestimated him. The player's skill, focus, and calm under pressure were undeniable. Even the more experienced teammates started looking to him for direction, trusting his judgment and following his lead. The team had transformed before everyone's eyes, rallying together with a renewed sense of purpose. The young athlete didn't pause. He continued moving across the court, passing, dribbling, and shooting when necessary. Each action was precise, each decision thoughtful. The crowd's cheers became a constant hum in his ears, encouraging him, giving him strength, and keeping him focused. He could feel the rhythm of the game, the flow of the ball, and the position of every player. Everything he had learned, every hour of practice, every moment of quiet preparation, was coming together in this single, crucial moment. With only minutes left, the score was tied. The tension was unbearable, and the gym was a whirlwind of noise and movement. The opposing team increased their intensity, trying everything to regain control. But the young athlete remained steady. He moved strategically, anticipating their moves, creating openings for his teammates, and finding opportunities for himself. Every action he took was measured, calculated, and effective. In one of the most critical moments, he received the ball near the basket. A defender rushed at him, ready to block his shot. He felt a flash of fear, but it was quickly replaced by confidence. He had faced pressure countless times in practice, alone in the gym, imagining this exact scenario. He pivoted, faked a shot, and passed to a teammate in perfect position. The basket went in, and the crowd went wild. The momentum had shifted completely. The young athlete's influence on the game was undeniable. The coach, who had remained stoic for most of the match, finally allowed himself a small smile. He could no longer ignore the player's talent and leadership. The young athlete had transformed not only the game, but also the team's confidence. They moved with precision, anticipation, and trust, all inspired by his example. The gym was alive with cheers, and the energy seemed to lift the players to perform beyond their usual capabilities. As the final seconds approached, the team had a chance to take the lead. The ball came to the young athlete once more. He dribbled carefully, noting the position of every defender, planning the perfect shot. Time seemed to slow down. The crowd held its collective breath. He leaped, released the ball, and watched as it arced perfectly through the air, swishing through the net just as the buzzer sounded. The gym exploded with applause, cheers, and jubilation. The impossible had been achieved, and it was all because of one player who had refused to give up. The teammates rushed to congratulate him, clapping him on the back, shaking hands, and shouting words of praise. The crowd cheered even louder, chanting his name in unison. Even the opposing team, though disappointed, could not hide their respect. The young athlete had turned the game around, creating a moment that would be remembered for years. The coach approached him, a mix of pride and astonishment on his face. He extended his hand, acknowledging the young player's effort, skill, and composure. "I underestimated you," he said quietly, "and I'm glad I was wrong." The young athlete smiled, feeling a quiet sense of accomplishment. He didn't need praise to feel satisfied, but the acknowledgement from the coach meant something. It confirmed that hard work, persistence, and dedication could overcome doubt and skepticism. After the game, the crowd continued to cheer and congratulate him. People from the community, parents, and classmates approached, praising his performance and dedication. They marveled at how someone who had been overlooked and underestimated had become the hero of the game. The young athlete's journey from quiet practice sessions to the spotlight had inspired everyone who had watched. showing that persistence and focus could lead to extraordinary moments. That night, as he reflected on the game, he thought about all the hours of practice, all the sacrifices, and all the moments of doubt that he had faced. Each challenge, each rejection, had prepared him for this moment. The victory was not just about the final score, but about proving to himself and others that dedication and perseverance could change outcomes. The crowd had cheered, the coach had acknowledged his talent, and his teammates had learned to trust him. It was a night of triumph, a moment of transformation, a story that would be remembered long after the final buzzer had sounded. The aftermath of the game was filled with excitement, celebration, and reflection. The gym was buzzing with energy as students, parents, and teachers congratulated the players. The young athlete was at the center of attention, but he remained calm, smiling quietly and listening to the praise around him. He knew that this moment was the result of years of hard work, late nights in the gym, and unwavering dedication. The recognition was gratifying. What mattered most was that his persistence had finally paid off. The coach approached him again, this time with a more relaxed demeanor. He extended his hand, and the young athlete shook it firmly. "You proved something tonight," the coach said. "Not just to me, but to everyone. You've earned your place on this team." The words carried weight, and the young athlete felt a sense of pride that went beyond the thrill of winning. He had shown that preparation, focus, and quiet determination could overcome doubt and skepticism. Teammates gathered around, patting him on the back, offering smiles, and sharing their own excitement. Some admitted that they had underestimated him, but now they saw his skill and leadership. They asked for tips, wanting to learn from his approach and dedication. The young athlete responded kindly, offering advice and encouragement. He had learned that success was not only about personal achievement, but also about inspiring and helping others along the way. The crowd lingered, continuing to cheer and express admiration. Students shouted his name, and parents praised his composure and skill. Even the opposing team approached, shaking his hand and complimenting his performance. It was a moment of respect, acknowledgement, and shared appreciation for the effort he had put into the game. The young athlete felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had not only contributed to a victory, but had also earned the respect of everyone around him. As the night settled, he reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. He thought about the countless hours spent practicing alone, the moments of doubt and rejection, and the persistence that had carried him through. Each shot, each dribble, each practice session had prepared him for the opportunity he had seized. He realized that success was rarely immediate, and that true. Dedication often went unnoticed until the right moment arrived. His family was there to celebrate quietly, offering hugs, words of encouragement, and pride. They had supported him throughout. Understanding the importance of perseverance and believing in his potential, even when others did not. Their presence reminded him that support, encouragement, and belief from loved ones could be as powerful as talent and effort. He felt grateful for their unwavering support, which had given him strength during moments of uncertainty. The coach gathered the team for a final debrief. He praised the players for their effort, focus, and teamwork. He specifically mentioned the young athlete, acknowledging how his performance had changed the game and inspired the entire team. The recognition was humbling, and the young athlete listened quietly, understanding that true accomplishment was measured not just by the scoreboard, but by the respect earned and the influence on others. In the following days, the story of the game spread throughout the school and community. Students talked about the young athlete's skill. Parents shared stories of his dedication. And teachers used the example to teach lessons about perseverance and hard work. He became a symbol of what could be achieved through consistent effort, quiet determination, and the refusal to give up. His journey inspired others to practice more, to focus, and to believe in their own potential, regardless of initial setbacks or doubts. Despite the recognition and admiration, the young athlete remained humble. He continued to practice, to improve, and to support his teammates. He knew that one victory did not define his journey, and that every moment offered an opportunity to grow. The lessons he had learned, patience, dedication, and belief in oneself, would guide him in future challenges, both on and off the court. The crowd's support had played a crucial role in his success. Their encouragement and belief had given him confidence when it was needed most. He realized that achievement was not always a solitary journey. It often involved the support, encouragement, and belief of those around you. The combination of personal dedication and external support had created a moment that would be remembered for years. As he looked back on the season, he understood that the game was not just about basketball. It was about persistence, preparation, and the courage to seize an opportunity when it appeared. It was about proving to himself and others that consistent effort and quiet determination could overcome doubt. The experience had transformed him, instilling confidence, resilience, and a deeper appreciation for the value of hard work. The young athlete continued to practice, always striving to improve, always focusing on the fundamentals, and always supporting his teammates. He knew that challenges would arise, that doubts would resurface, and that moments of pressure would test him again. But he also knew that the lessons he had learned, the skills he had honed, and the support he had received would guide him through any situation. His story became an example for others, a testament to the power of perseverance and dedication. It showed that being overlooked did not define one's potential, that belief in oneself could overcome skepticism, and that preparation and effort could create opportunities where none seemed to exist. The young athlete's journey from quiet practice to celebrated performance became a lesson in resilience, determination, and the impact of hard work. As the season progressed, he continued to grow as a player and as a person. His confidence remained steady, his skills sharpened, and his dedication unwavering. He embraced every practice, every game, and every challenge with focus and determination. The recognition he had received did not make him complacent. Instead, it reinforced the importance of consistent effort and the belief that success was built over time, not overnight. The coach, once skeptical, now trusted him completely, relying on his judgment, skill, and leadership. The teammates, once doubtful, now respected him deeply, following his example and seeking his guidance. The community, inspired by his journey, continued to celebrate his achievements and the lessons learned from his dedication. The young athlete had become more than a player. He'd become a symbol of perseverance, determination, and the transformative power of hard work. In the end, the young athlete understood that the true victory was not just the win on the scoreboard, but the journey itself, the challenges overcome, the skills developed, and the respect earned. He had faced doubt, rejection, and pressure, and he had emerged stronger, more confident, and more capable. The crowd had cheered, the coach had recognized his talent, and his teammates had learned to trust and follow him. It was a story of determination, focus, and the power of belief, a story that would inspire others for years to come. Even after the game, the lessons remained with him. He continued to work hard, support his teammates, and embrace every opportunity with focus and determination. The journey had taught him that success was built on preparation, dedication, and the willingness to face challenges with courage. The crowd's belief, the coach's recognition, the respect of his peers had confirmed that persistence and effort could overcome doubt and create moments of triumph. It was a lesson he would carry for the rest of his life, shaping not only his basketball career, but also the person he would become.